me and you just recently played One Piece Odyssey.
Yeah.
And now, when I saw this demo, I was like, God, let's try this because you are an anime guy. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I
Yeah.
got into anime movies maybe in college and, up until early 2000s, I watched, but I don't watch shows. I don't follow it. There's nothing against it. I just never could put the effort into it. But so
Yeah.
I went into this blind playing this demo. But you're a fan of this, fan of the show. So what
Yeah.
were your expectations of this and what were your initial thoughts of One Piece Odyssey?
So, background for me, I just started laughing because you're like, have you ever heard of a show called One Piece? And I have watched a lot of anime. One Piece is my favorite anime of all time, and is currently my favorite anime. Like it's at, I think, episode 1020 right now. I've been
Wow.
watching One Piece since 2004,
Gosh.
um, at least weekly. I've been watching it since then. Before it was, fan subs. And then there was a whole part where like, you couldn't get like 100 episodes on fan subs. So it's a whole thing. My brother-in-law had introduced it to me way back then. And so I have literally been watching One Piece for 20 years. And it is by far, it used to be, there's other two anime, Bleach and Naruto as well, that like they were referred to as like the big three. Naruto has since ended. It is in a next like kind of a sequel show with follows like the next generation of Naruto, and then Bleach just came back with like a ridiculous like new season. That was some of the best shit last year that came out, or this year that came out. But One Piece has been consistently good since it came out. It is the same formula has been used for so many of their story arcs. Their story arcs will go on. Like they will typically they'll find an island. There'll be a mystery on that island. They will, get into what the mystery is, and then the mystery unfolds into some bigger conspiracy. And then that devolves into fights, and then these fights go on forever, and it's like really, really done well. And so when I saw this game and I saw that it was available for a demo, I got really excited. But I tend to kind of not get too much expectations into these licensed anime games because I've never like really played one where I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool, or this kind of like captures the spirit of the anime. But I felt like with this demo, I knew from the very beginning that it captured exactly what the essence was of One Piece, and I was laughing. It was great, and I had a really good time. And I was really, really surprised by how good it came out. So I'm very curious for you, as a person who knows nothing about One Piece, knows nothing about these characters, because these characters have backstories that span literally hundreds of episodes. From when they first started, like I mean, in the first episode, Luffy is just in a barrel and he doesn't even have a crew. And it takes all these episodes for him to get Zoro, to get Sanji, to get Usopp. And Usopp and Sanji have their own story arcs of how they, join the crew and everything like that. And what they represent to Luffy and everything like that. Like, you have none of that. So what did you think when you're playing this game? You had none of that lore at all.
So I agree because I was like, all right, because I love RPGs, and before we get into it, I love the style, um, everything about it. So that helped me get hooked to it because if the gameplay was not there, I don't think I wanted more. And that's the thing I'm hoping when the full game is. Oh, actually, yeah, the full game is already released. Um,
Yeah.
if I once I play it, just learning more. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to learn 1,000 episodes worth of backstory, but these
No.
characters grabbed me. But I was more intrigued, like, well, how did they all get on the ship? You can sense a little bit in this demo, but like between the characters and their interactions, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like I felt like there's so much more, and I hope. And I don't know where this game is going to go. Gives me a little bit just of an understanding, for lack of a better term, as a One Piece noob. Because again,
Hmm.
these characters, I love them. For the brief encounter, 2 hours that I played with them, I'm like, wow, this is good. I like everything about them. So it's going to be interesting because I'm curious about the full game. I'm hoping to learn more about these characters, and that's the one thing I hope they do because if they do not introduce these characters in a way for new people, this is a good
Hmm.
way to bring new fans to the show. I mean, maybe I don't know. 1,000 episodes seems like a fucking lot, dude. But
It's
you
a
know what I
lot, dude.
mean. It's
It's a
it's
lot.
just like if they just start right there, and you don't get any of the backstory or anything like that, it's going to be tough, to enjoy the characters as much for me. You have all the lore and everything there, but if they don't do
Mhm.
anything, that's where they might lose me as far as story goes. But I can tell you, as far as this demo goes, these characters are great. I kind of got them right away. I understood. I think playing a lot of fantasy and RPGs, you can see where they all are. It's not like I'm new to the genre or anything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Their interactions, you got a sense of who they are. It was great, and it did leave me wanting more of the story, and that's what a demo should do, or of anything, whether it's a video game, TV show, cartoon. It left me wanting to know more about these characters and where they're going to go on this adventure. So, bravo to this demo, because as someone who's never watched a single episode of One Piece, knows nothing about it,
Nothing at all.
this
Nothing
demo
at all.
got me. It did, and I was like, I am all in on this game. Eventually, we'll talk about the price and stuff like that. But I'm definitely all in on these characters, and I want to learn more in this game about them. So I hope they
I
do
mean,
that.
I hope they do too. It did look like in the kind of like little like the stinger reel that they did towards the end that they were gonna kind of like go back because I saw some stuff in past arcs. But the great thing about One Piece is that these characters are like at their core, they've always been the same. Like they have the same quirks, they have the same like comedic routines because this show is like really funny. Like it's super fucking funny. It's one of the funny shows I've ever seen. It's also one of the absolutely most emotional shows I've ever seen. I know that that sounds weird because you played like this demo. It's like how could this? But like this show is just like so highly emotional and it gets you attached to the characters. Obviously, through enough episodes, you get that. But even for somebody that's coming in, like Luffy is still Luffy. He's fucking Luffy. He wants to be the Pirate King. He's made of rubber. Zoro, Usopp is Usopp. They've always been essentially the same characters, and so you don't really need to have all that backstory. You can kind of jump in and kind of like figure it out as it goes on. So even if they don't do that, which they will, like they'll probably talk about devil fruit and what that means and everything, and like what happens when you're a devil fruit user. Like, for example, Luffy ate the devil fruit to be a rubber man, and essentially what that means is that he can stretch his body, he's like immune to bullets and stuff. But when you have a devil fruit, you also can't swim in the ocean, like you sink to the bottom. So he's like the head of a pirate crew, but he also, if he falls in the water, he's dead.
Huh?
So he needs like crew members that are not like devil fruit users, like Zoro and Sanji and people like that. Like he needs his friends to be around him. Like this whole show is about um, like how important your friends are, like and how important like you may be good at something, but your friends are really good at this. Like Luffy does not have the ability to lie. He's just a dumbass and cannot lie. He says things like honestly, and so he has Usopp, the long nose guy, on his crew because Usopp is the scaredy cat and the liar on his like team. It can help him with that stuff. So all that stuff fits in. I really like to your point the fact that as soon as I saw it was a turn-based RPG, I was like, this feels
Yes.
perfect. And the attacks were very um, true to the show. The whole vibe, the whole spirit of it, like everything, all their interactions, like you haven't seen 1,000 episodes, but I can tell you that that's how they've interacted with each other over all of those episodes. It's very consistent. And I think that this demo and this game is really well done. And I hope that it's like around 60 hours plus because I think that that's perfect for a game like this. I'm sure there's some grindy stuff. It does kind of look like it'll make you kind of re-get their powers as well, and so that you kind of learn from the very beginning what their powers actually do. So, again, good for veterans who love the show, and I think to your point, great entry point for somebody who's never seen it either.
And it's not just that; it's a good entry point for those who aren't big on RPGs, because the gameplay is very, very simplistic. Um,
hmm Yeah, I love it.
I loved it, and I loved the turn-based RPGs because I didn't feel rushed into figuring things out. Which it is fine, but sometimes you just want to sit back and like, all right, what does all this do? You're not rushing to
hmm
figure out what each power does. So I found that quite easy. Reminded me a little bit of Persona. You just have your
hmm
character. You're
hmm
like, okay, what can I do? You can swap in and out, whenever you want, and I don't know. I just felt like everything was so smooth in this demo. The elements, they taught you just enough, and
Hmm.
I felt like there's so much more shit that they did not show you that's gonna, obviously, as you know, role playing games that is gonna be in this, but the
Oh,
gameplay was
tons.
great. Like I said, the story it got me, especially someone who's never ever seen One Piece. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, I don't know, and this is definitely something I'm gonna play. So here comes the question then.
Ah, the
Obviously,
eternal
this game
question.
already came out. Usually, we play demos that take, maybe that come out a week or two. But now
Hmm.
that you've played the demo, you are a fan of the show. You've seen over 1,000 episodes. What would you pay to play this game, Soto?
This question always gets me. We talked about it before too, because I'm like, okay, I'm a cheap bastard by nature. So what I will pay for a game, and I'm not trying to slight a game by saying what I'll pay for it, but for a game like this, I would have like no problem paying like $40 full price for this shit. I don't know if I'd pay $50. I don't know if I'd pay $50 for any game or $60 for any game. I'm not sure if I'm there, but I would definitely pay $40 for this game. I think you're gonna get a ton of RPG hours. As a fan, this was fun. I remember it being longer than I thought it was. But with most demos, I'm like, how long is this going to go on for? But I wanted to keep playing this game.
Agreed.
So as a licensed property, I thought this was awesome. So I'd pay 40, $45 for this game. I would. And if that was the day one price or if it goes down to sale at that price, I would highly consider buying it for that. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, because this demo came out on the 10th or 11th, and the game was released 2 or 3 days later, and it started at 60. Um,
Hmm.
Me personally, like you, I am a cheap bastard, and I don't like buying day one games. It'll take a lot. But playing this, the fact that the gameplay reminds me a bit of Persona 5,
Hmm.
which makes it great. I feel there's going to be a lot of content to this.
Hmm.
I can see this easily being an 90 hour game, with everything
Yeah.
going on in it. So, and that I like,
Hmm.
I don't feel like I'm going to get lost or, there's so, like I said, I don't think this is going to get grindy, but personally, I'm in the 30 mark. If they, half price, I don't know the
Hmm.
characters that well, and I'm hoping there was more introduction, but I love them. But honestly, once this hits 30, I am going to check this out. I think this is a phenomenal game. If you're an RPG fan, I think these characters, for me, not knowing a thing about them, are all amazing because you like. I
Yeah.
want to learn more. Now you have all this history. I don't, and that's what makes this great because that tells you. But that tells you something about this demo. Is the fact
Yeah.
that this game, if you're an RPG fan,
Hmm.
this is going to intrigue people because you're right. There's the silliness. He's trying to
So
find a
much.
straw hat. I'm like, really? Find another fucking straw hat, kid. But
Oh God!
I
So you
know.
don't even know.
But that's how I felt.
Find another straw hat. Oh God, that
I
killed me.
know there's some significance to that fucking straw hat. But the first time, I'm like,
Oh, a
dude,
little
it's just a
bit,
straw.
just a little bit.
I could tell, but he was so panicked. They're like, we gotta find. But the demo did
Hmm.
everything perfectly. It
Yeah,
did introduce the characters, a bit. I just I would like to learn a little bit more of their backstory, at least something for this game, and I hope they
yeah.
do it. I hope this is in the beginning part.
Hmm.
But like I said, the gameplay was just perfect for me, and because I like the easiness of it. You're like you can take your time, you can figure it out. 30 definitely for me
Yeah.
personally. Once it hits that, I will be playing this. Hopefully, nothing else is coming out because I feel like this is gonna be a long game. So
Always something else coming out, and of course, always the backlog. But again, I think the best thing that I've heard in a long time is being like, "Fuck your straw hat, get another straw hat." It's like, oh my God, what the fuck? They are the Straw Hat Pirates. That is the name of this pirate group as well. So that's why you see like a straw hat on the Skull and Bones
yeah,
as their pirate flag. So they are the Straw Hats, and there's definitely a very significant reason as to why Luffy has a straw hat. And it pretty much is the whole entire show. I mean, basically in the Japanese version, like they don't, people don't, his adversaries don't usually even call him Luffy. They call him Straw Hat, because that's his just iconic like piece of apparel. So that was great that you said that. Just get it off. It's a fucking straw hat. What the fuck's the big deal? Oh, Chad, it's a big deal.
uh, yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
So, is there anything else you're hoping for in this game that you did not see in this demo? Maybe that they did not show.
No, I mean, again, continuing the whole thing, just seeing, where the mystery unfolds in this. It seems like it's connected to the overall story because, One Piece, the thing with it is that the story, like I said earlier, will start off very small, but it always connects to there is an overarching storyline, um, with like the world government and stuff like that that gets referenced. I think there's going to be some of that in there without going too much into, what's canon and what's not canon. I think they can play a lot with that because in the show itself, for a show that's 1,000 episodes, only just now, in the current episodes and in the manga, has the like main story like been really addressed. We still don't even know what the fuck One Piece is.
Well, that now I'm intrigued because I don't even know what that means.
One Piece is like the treasure that they're all trying to find. It's like, the ultimate treasure. This pirate like named Gold Roger, on his execution day, he basically told all the pirates in the world, I left all my treasures of the world at this last island, and you can find it. It's called One Piece. And so that causes all the pirates in the world to now start racing to go find out what this treasure is and where this legendary pirate, what he left there for the people that are trying to get it. So One Piece only recently has been like they don't even reference One Piece like often in the show, and only recently are they starting to go towards trying to actually find the One Piece. It's called Odyssey. Inherently it should be a nice long trip. There's nothing short about One Piece.
Hmm. Anyhow, for those interested, One Piece Odyssey is already available. It came out on January 14th, I believe, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 13th, I don't know. But anyhow, it is already out. If you do enjoy it, please check it out. So
Hmm. Recommended.